few weeks ago, I made a video talking about the June update with information that we knew. It's been a few weeks since then, so I want to cover some new topics that have come up and some of my worries with the June update. I'm going to start off with the things that I think are positive for the game that will add more to it, starting off with bright engrams. We all love our free cosmetics, and DMG has informed us that one of the team improved bright engrams in June. More details to come. I think that's an overwhelmingly positive thing. I hate getting duplicates or blues out of my bright engrams. Hopefully this just makes all bright engrams iridescent engrams, which essentially mean they can give you anything, even paid cosmetics, via a checklist system, rather than it just being always completely random. You can get duplicates of things you've previously owned. I think that's an overwhelming W. Up next is the Marathon armor. If you're not aware, Marathon is a game made by Bungie, and it has come out and is a very stylized game. Quite honestly, I think a lot of the characters look fantastic, and so does Bungie. There is Marathon gear that has been in the files for a while. We could see it, I believe it's in the collections, and players have been wondering, how do we get it? Because it hasn't been in the Bright Dust store or it hasn't been in the Eververse whatsoever. DMG confirms that it is earnable, will come out in June, and more details will be closer to launch. Sounds pretty cool to me. Nice to see that we can get some cool cosmetic looking armor, or who knows, maybe it'll be a gear set, but I'm pretty sure this will be purely cosmetic. I guess we'll figure out the details once we get closer to June. Following that, there's also a ship known as the Modified Near Light Speed Carrier, aka the Ghost. It's been visible in the collection since Renegade's launch, and there's no clue on where to get it. DMG says that their ship will be available in a future update. Doesn't specify if it's June, so I don't want to promise it's June, but we'll probably learn how to get it when it gets closer to that time. If I had to take a guess, maybe it comes from Call to Arms later this year. I feel like that would be a good place for this to be earnable from. Lastly, I want to cover Onslaught is going to get some changes coming in the future. It's not specified on when it will be happening. However, there are some changes coming. I don't want to overhype anything or give an idea of what it could be, but I hope it is something that makes me want to play it. I think Onslaught's one of the better game modes Destiny has released in recent years, and would be nice to re-enter. It would be cool if there were some roguelike aspects to the game mode. Would definitely help with its replayability. And lastly, we know that all of the raid and dungeon content will have updated loot day one of the June updates, so you will not need to wait week by week to be able to farm whatever loot you specifically want. I see this as a double-edged sword. I'm going to speak on the positives. The positives is you don't have to wait 7 weeks for Valve the Disciple to be the featured raid for you to do. I think that's overall a net positive. If your goal is to farm the loot, I'm not going to argue there about that. The only downside I could see for this is that people might want to meta game what is the most meta set of armor, meta set of weapons to go for, which activities do I straight up ignore, etc. I have 3 screenshots from Reddit. One of them is about more vault space. Each update that they plan to try to solve more memory limitations so we can have more space in our vaults. That's a good thing. It's not something to be worried about. However, what I am worried about is 2 other things. I'm going to read them both first, then I'm going to give my opinion because I want to get the information out to you before I go on a 20-minute rant. So, DMG has this quote on Reddit from a while ago, and it reads as the following. From the team, our current plan is to upgrade armor across all RAD content to the tier system. Weapons from dungeons will also be tiered starting in June. As for raids, crafted variants of weapons already exist. To elevate those while embracing the power of tiered weapons, we will be upgrading crafted versions and adept variants with new perks and ways to enhance columns to match that of a tier 5 weapon. We'll have more details closer to launch. And DMG replies to this saying, still true. Up next, we have someone saying, please do not make it feat based. I've already grinded the level, please do not make it harder to get a tier 5. DMG responds with, not adding feats to legacy rad. Another person responds, wonderful to hear. A piece of genuine feedback. Feats have negatively impacted rad content by splitting the player base further based on amount of feats. It's just too much and creates various splits in how much difficulty people want to do. Going back to the old systems of normal/master would be less polarizing. That's something I do agree with. Now let's get into my opinion, starting with the ability to upgrade your crafted weapons to match the power of a tier 5. I've always thought that crafted weapons should be a way for you to get into the door, not the way to get to the top floor. And what this means is, let's say you want to go do a raid. you don't have super great gear, what you could do is there could be weapons that you can craft a specific role on that is pretty good for majority of the content. You can then take that weapon to the raid and get the raid gear, and that raid gear at a base level would be better than your crafted weapon. I'm personally anti-crafting in raid content, but everywhere else, perfectly fine. I think raids are the activities you're supposed to be hunting for the perfect role, while seasonal activities that are time limited should give you an avenue to get the exact roles that you want, as they will not always be here to play. That is my stance on it. The fact that I possibly won't have to do a single raid because I already have every crafted weapon in the game is disappointing for me. I hope there is still a reason to go chase a tier 5 from a raid, whether that be a cosmetic reason, an origin traits that is exclusive to doing the new versions of the rad content. Hell, maybe if the 10% damage bonus that tier 5s get still exists, sure, that's more than enough of a reason for me to actually step into the activity rather than crafting my way up to a tier 5 weapon. The next thing is not adding feats to legacy rad content. My issue with this stems from a lack of information. We don't know how they are going to change and how we acquire tier 5 loot from rad content. Is it going to be power based, so it's super easy that everyone can get tier 5s for free? That'll be a bit disappointing. Or are they going to add master modes to every single piece of content, and so if you play normal mode and you do a challenge, you're guaranteed tier 3s, where if you play master mode and do a challenge, you're guaranteed tier 5s? I think that would be probably the best of both worlds. Or are tier 5s going to be limited to featured week or Hawthorne quests? If that is the case, I'm a bit worried, especially because this only takes into consideration of weapons. Armor does not have a guaranteed drop inside raids or dungeons unless you're using the focusing system with raid spoils. Is getting the best armor from the raid or dungeon that I'm doing going to be dependent on RNG with a currency system? If that is the case, that is going to be very disappointing, because what that just means is I go farm the best place to farm spoils and I go to the end of the raid to buy my god roll armor. I'm very concerned with these decisions. Let's also take into consideration they may not even be bringing master modes to the content that don't have a master mode yet. It's very concerning how little information we have, and we're about 5 weeks away. A lot of people are banking on this update to be the one that saves the game, but I don't think this is going to be a Forsaken level change to the base game to warrant a lot of people staying long term. If you drop all the raids and dungeons on day 1, there's no reason for me to come back week 2 if I don't feel like there's anything worth playing for. While I'm not suggesting that we slow down the rollout of the content, I think we're heavily banking on this update to fix the problems of the Edge of Fate, but I don't know if this update is capable of doing that. Those are my thoughts. Please let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Hope you all have a great day. Thank you for watching.